This is my service learning project for human development over the lifespan. So my chosen site was Senior Hub. It's in North Glen. In the picture here, you can see one of the seniors in the middle who's with a staff member. And I believe in this picture that looks like Nancy, the woman who interviewed me there with the staff and the member. So the mission of Senior Hub is to advance the quality of life for older adults through advocacy, community partnerships, and a variety of direct services planned to sustain an independent, healthy aging experience. So the services offered by Senior Hub include adult daycare, which is where I'm volunteering, Meals on Wheels, home care services, senior solutions, and a retired and senior volunteer program where seniors can help one another. The adult day services program is where I'm volunteering on Mondays from 11 to 2. They offer a bunch of different activities. Some of these include discussion groups, games, arts and crafts, bingo, an exercise group. So the staff there work really hard to make sure that they can try to have a wide range of activities and have a diverse calendar with different events going on. Because of the fact that they don't have a ton of people, it's kind of a smaller facility, they're able to cater the events specifically to the things that the people that are currently in the program say that they enjoy doing, which I thought was really cool. So my role is going to be twofold. However, for my first day there, I worked with the seniors, just introducing myself, getting to know them, getting to know their names. I sat in on the group exercise class they have, and I talk about that a little bit in the video at the end. I eventually will be helping lead and take that over, as well as getting to know someone one-on-one as a friendship type thing with one of the seniors they'll match me with. And for me, this will be an ongoing project after the class ends. So when I wanted to tie in my volunteer experience into this presentation in terms of the theories we've studied in this class, I did end up going with Erik Erikson's theory. Obviously it's one of the most well-known and most cited in our class, but I did pick it because some others didn't fit as well for me with this particular population. I love Viktor Frankl's theory of man's search for meaning, but I just wanted to discuss Erikson's phase and his theory of integrity versus despair and how that relates to a population of older adults that are experiencing disabilities, mostly of a cognitive nature. Because I really think that integrity, in order to continue to live an autonomous life and feel like there's integrity in one's daily living, it can be very hard for someone who has a fully functioning mind, that cognitive skills are not hampered in any way, to handle if they start to feel their body breaking down physically. However, this group of individuals I'm working with almost all have some form of dementia or Alzheimer's, so their cognitive abilities are a little bit limited, and their experience of their physical disabilities that are coinciding with the cognitive is slightly different because they're not always having memories of their past. They don't always know what's happened before, remember what it was like when they were fully functioning. So I actually felt like a lot of those individuals were not dealing with despair, despite the fact that they had a lot of limitations on them. But one thing I do think that leads to developing that integrity is feeling like you can look back on your life and be able to share wisdom about what you've been through and what you've done. And part of why I wanted to do this is because I'm excited to talk with them one-on-one and maybe give them an opportunity to share their story with someone when a lot of people maybe aren't listening. And I think they have a lot of valuable things to say, and I feel like sometimes when someone has a cognitive challenge due to Alzheimer's or dementia, they get kind of pushed to the side, even though they're probably someone very brilliant who's had a lot of life experience that would offer a lot of wisdom, but people sometimes talk to them as if they were a child because of the dementia or the Alzheimer's. So with that in mind, I'm interested to learn more as the upcoming weeks continue in regards to Erikson's theory, seeing how I might see that integrity versus despair and understand it better as I get to know these people more. And lastly, I just wanted to discuss a little bit of my personal stage of development. First of all, looking at Erikson's theory, I am in my 20s, so still in that isolation versus intimacy phase. And in the world that we live in today, a lot of that takes place partnering up and starting families starting later and later and later, and I definitely think that I'm an example of that. I'm not in a relationship with anyone, and I feel like the intimacy I want is coming out more in my close friendships. and I'm also a little farther away from my family. So really interested in also developing kind of a mentorship, um, with somebody older who I can really look up to and learn wisdom from, who also is interested in what I'm doing in my life, and kind of creating that connection with them to have some intimacy with someone who's in more of a leadership, or, someone that I look up to and respect type of role. And then as far as Viktor Frankl's theory, I just have always loved his work and his theory on human development. I very much consider myself someone who's constantly searching for the path that makes my life meaningful. And I think I used to feel like that always had to be something really big. And more recently, I've come to discover that meaning can be developed by being present in those little moments. And I think connecting with one senior and making them feel valued and respected and heard, and have that connection of friendship with someone who's wanting to hear their stories and wanting to be around them. I think that's one way that I can help myself with finding meaning with my life. Starting with those small face-to-face relationships with specific people has always been important to me. And lastly, I also really wanted to touch on my personal development just as being a millennial. I thought it was really funny that Nancy, the woman that I interviewed with for this position, told me right away when I told her about my entrepreneurial goals and desire to travel more. She was like, "Oh, you're clearly a millennial," which I kind of was taken aback, because I almost felt like it was a negative connotation to be considered a millennial. But then I just have been researching and reading a lot, and with this class of mine, we didn't discuss this as much. We did a little bit, but I'm just really thinking about what it looks like in terms of development in the world that we live in now, where technology has just changed so many things. And for me, I think growth and meaning making really stems from being a little more creative and thinking outside of the box, and being open to paths other than just the graduate education, stopping there and trying to work in a mental health center, but really looking at how can I be a therapist as an entrepreneur? Like, how can I make an income that would provide me the flexibility to travel and perhaps offer services online and have that flexibility. So I just wanted to mention that, because I thought it was funny that that was something that Nancy at Senior Hub noticed right away about me, and made a point of mentioning. So I think that the development is definitely also impacted a lot by your generation, by what decade you identify with, and how that influences how you see the world and how you develop with the times that we have now, because we have to constantly adapt to what the world is that we live in. So this will conclude my presentation. Thanks for watching, and it's been great being in this class with each of you. Thank you.